Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Yep, so we've been talking a whole lot about whether or not Democrats would ever get the memo, and immediately we look to issues like illegal immigration, for instance. Considering public sentiment has shifted so significantly and dramatically in such a short period of time, you would think it'd be time for Democrats to start pivoting on the issue, but no, instead we get something entirely different. Instead of ending this sanctuary city nonsense, Democrats have decided to take it to a whole new level of complete frickin' utter insanity, and this time in Denver, Colorado. The city just released footage showing ICE chasing down and arresting a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member after Denver refused to hand him over to ICE while he was still in custody. Instead of doing the obvious and transferring him safely inside the detention facility, they let him go out onto the streets, forcing ICE agents to have to engage in a high-risk chase to bring him down. And guess what happened? He assaulted an ICE agent in the process. It's literally exactly what Tom Homan was saying all those weeks ago, when he stated that Democrat cities are making ICE's job not only more difficult, but more dangerous, forcing them to have to apprehend these individuals, either by waiting for them outside the jail to catch them if they're coming out and they got the timing right, or by being forced to have to engage in raids to apprehend these individuals, which of course, as we know, raiding a home or apartment complex, especially if it's an apartment complex that's completely overrun by foreign gangs, not exactly the safest environment. Kind of heading into the unknown, especially with these desperate people willing to do absolutely crazy things to stay in the nation. Tom Homan said that this would happen, and now it's actually happening because Democrats have completely lost the frickin' plot. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I pretty much laid out the groundwork. Now take a look at the video evidence. You literally cannot make this stuff up. ICE requested a 48-hour heads up before his release, so they could take him in the right way safely, but instead, Denver County Jail gave them 90 minutes by email. What an absolute joke. If that's not impeding law enforcement, then what is? These sanctuary city policies are actively protecting criminals and putting American citizens and law enforcement at risk. In 90 minutes, ICE had to put together a team of 6 to chase this guy down into the streets after he was let go by Denver officials. 6 officers were forced to deploy in a short window of time for a gang member, all because of these leftist loons and their insane ideology. And what's also crazy is just think about it. Had ICE not been doing their job, in other words, what was happening exactly under the Joe Biden administration, they wouldn't have even been there. No, the practice would have been, oh, illegal migrant criminal, Tren de Aragua gang member, who's a high-risk individual and likely to commit crimes and further victimize our Colorado residents, we are putting you back onto the streets. It's insane. It shows you what these people are doing. They're putting foreign illegal, hardcore gang members right back into the community, and now the only reason these people are being picked up is because ICE is actually doing their job and tracking these individuals down, and in this case, they were there to apprehend the individual. But what I'm thinking is imagine the amount of times that they aren't aware, that they're not there, or the last 4 years where this was likely a daily occurrence. The absolute disgrace of these Democrats, and in this case, the absolute arrogance and disgrace that is Mike Johnston, the Democrat mayor of Denver, Colorado. You know, this guy was acting like he was above the law and clearly still is. And now that it's blowing up in his face, he wants to pretend like this was some kind of unfortunate procedural misunderstanding. Oh, well, we're sorry. Oops. It was a mistake that we released this violent criminal onto the streets and didn't coordinate with ICE at all to pick him up. Give me a break. Who actually believes that crap? It wasn't. It was deliberate. They knew exactly what they were doing when they refused to transfer this violent gang member to ICE. They knew that it would force a street chase. They just probably didn't expect it to get exposed to the entire country. You know, once again, they're treating us as if we're stupid, as if we haven't been paying attention. We're supposed to expect that kind of excuse from this guy.
Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact. Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems. Republican and Democratic presidents in the past have all tried to find solutions to these problems. President Reagan helped people get access to work so they could stay and support themselves. Biden and Harris worked on restricting entry at the border to close down. There are a lot of ways to approach this problem. We don't think it has to come to this. But yeah, I think when you look at, Ralph Carr has always been one of my heroes. He was the governor who in the middle of the internment of Japanese Americans said this was the wrong thing to do. And he stood up. It was unpopular. People were mad at him about it. That was in the middle of wartime. If the president or any of his actors are going to do things that we think are illegal or immoral or un-American, we'll stand up against them.
The Denver mayor who said that he was willing to go to prison to block Trump's mass deportation efforts. Oh, well, it's just a coincidence. Just a misunderstanding that they didn't coordinate with ICE in this instance. Give me a frickin' break. This is exactly what they've been doing over the last month and a half, refusing to release these inmates into ICE custody. But again, it's not just the disconnect between ICE, it's not just the last month and a half. This has been an ongoing policy practice for years.
Mayor from Denver is about 640 miles from the border in El Paso. Mayor from Chicago, Brandon Johnson, what is he, 1,500 miles from El Paso. Boston and New York City even further. New York's 2,200 and Boston is 2,400. If you remember back on election, we were doing our voter analysis. We asked how important is the border issue to you in these specific cities? How important is it? In Massachusetts, in New York, in Illinois, and Colorado, those 4 states that these mayors are from, every state was above 70%. It's phenomenal. Over here on the wall here, these are the mayors are going to be asked about. This is what they're going to have to defend. New York City, Eric Adams, who's been somewhat compliant now on the sanctuary city issue. Guatemala National, 1 case now, allegedly burning a woman alive on the subway, okay? ICE issued a detainer after that attack. New York City officials rejected it. Here's in Chicago. All right, Venezuela National, tied to the TDA gang in Venezuela, order deported, ICE detainer rejected again. Last week, held 3 days in a murder case, then released yet again. Denver, suspected TDA gang member. They've had an issue out there, released from jail over sanctuary policies, and then assaulted police officers while being rearrested. How do you defend this again? Now in Boston, Michelle Wu, she's been outspoken on this. You got 1 case here, Guatemalan national, arraigned for raping a child by force. In October of 22, released on pretrial conditions, then rearrested again 3 years later.
This is what they've been doing, and now they want to pretend as if it was just a mistake. No, it's not a mistake. It's part of your process. These Democrat mayors are simply doing exactly what they testified in front of Congress just the other day. They're following state laws above federal law. They're not cooperating or following federal law because they believe their state sanctuary status and state sanctuary city laws supersede federal authority. It's legal illiteracy. But of course, that's not really what it is because they know the law, they understand the Constitution, they just don't care. And what a slap in the face that is. Not only are they putting their citizens' lives at risk, but now they're putting ICE agents' lives at risk. These sanctuary city mayors have blood on their hands, and it's time for real accountability. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.